So hello and welcome all for today's session. So this is a batch 2 of AWS mentoring. We'll try and achieve a cloud practitioner certification in next 4 to 5 weeks, and then the next following 8 weeks would be focusing mainly on AWS Solution Architect uh, certification. As I say, this is more of a mentoring session. I am not here to take a course or something like that. I'll mainly here to get you guys started, and all the hard work as always is yours. I'll try and provide as many free resources as possible. You can always go for the paid resources that are there on Udemy. They are quite good courses, either it's Udemy or other courses like Cloud Guru or Linux Academy, Digital Cloud. There are many which are good courses. Feel free to always use them, or otherwise I'll try and provide as many free resources as possible. So to look into what all certifications does AWS provide, if you see in the screen aws.amazon.com/certification. Let me mute everyone. If you go to aws.amazon.com/certification, you'll be able to see all the certifications that are there. So we'll start with foundational, which is AWS Cloud Practitioner, and this certification is mainly for understanding the basics of the cloud, understanding the basics of AWS, and it is not only for technical folks but also for functional and business folks who are interested in understanding all about the cloud. And then once you are through foundational, you can always move up the ladder for more technical folks, Solution Architect Associate, and then we have SysOps Administrator for ones who want to go deep into whether it is system administration or in developers course. So Solution Architect Associate would require more of a hands-on. It does not just test you on the basics, but also goes dive deep into few of the areas, and we'll discuss about the structure of it when the time is appropriate. For today, we'll be mainly focusing on Cloud Practitioner. As I said, this mentoring program will be mainly focusing on Cloud Practitioner and then Solution Architect Associate. But folks who are more interested should always, and if you're planning to make your career in AWS, then please go ahead and do the professional ones. They are actually hard. I am professional certified in both Solution Architect Professional and DevOps Engineer Professional, and I can tell you that they are actually hard, and they are not only in terms of the technical depth that is required in the cloud and AWS, but also they check various other parameters like your time management, your critical thinking ability, so on and so forth. But it is real fun, and once you get those certification, it will really help you in your day-to-day a job, or even if you're looking for a new job. And then you have more specialty courses, and these specialty courses, I would say the difficulty level is between associate and professional. They are not as hard as professional, but they are definitely above associate, and they are in dive deep into specific areas. I see that a lot of people in our a group were from ML or from data science background or from database background. So you can choose based on your skill set in which you want to go into specialty. If you are the one who wants to do all the certifications, then you will be the one of the most sought after resource in the whole industry. But yeah, that's going to take a long time. So when you do the certification, just try and have as much hands-on as possible, and that's what I'll try and uh, encourage you guys to have a free tier account or have a access of to AWS account through your organization, whichever way you want to, but do have access to AWS and do hands-on. That's what is going to really help you. I'll show you resources when we'll start for Solution Architect, that from where you can do the hands-on labs of either creating a 3-tier database or spinning a 3-tier web architecture, or spinning up a database, or creating a serverless application. So I'll show those free resources for the labs where you'll be able to do those follow those instructions and do them in your free tier account. Okay, let me see if there is any question. Can you share your video again? Unable to view. Is everyone Okay, I have stopped my video because of like I don't want to have any bandwidth issues. Um, I'm just sharing my screen. Hopefully, my screen is visible to all. Okay. So let's start with cloud practitioner. So what exactly would be we need to learn for the cloud practitioner? And as I said, like a lot of people here might be already aware of the basics, but we'll start from basics to benefit everyone who might be totally no voice about the cloud and AWS. So for cloud practitioner, if we click on here, it is going to take you to the uh, page where you will be having all the information about the cloud practitioner certification. You can download the exam guide from here. You can download the sample questions from here, and we'll go through the sample questions not now but later on in the like week 3 or week 4. We'll look into those, and it tells about how to prepare for an exam. So I'll do two things. First, I'll download the exam guide. So this is the exam guide, and we'll look into it in a moment. And then the second is prepare for exam. So in prepare for exam, it is going to take you to this page where it has the preparation for example all the different certifications. So we'll look into the foundational level, which is your cloud practitioner. Here again you have the link to download exam guide and sample questions, which we'll look into in a moment. Explore the AWS learning path. So we have different learning paths that we have. You have the learning paths that we have. Hopefully you're it's more visible now. And then if you see here, there is a program, like a classroom as a digital. So this one is that I'm going to recommend to everyone. This is a free version from AWS. So it's a 6-hour course, and we'll look into that in a moment. I'll just open it in another tab, but I'll keep it there. But this is the 6 hours course, which should get you started, and that you have to do it on your own time. So as I said, I'm going to provide all the free resources that are available, and it's up to you based on your flexible work timings and home commitments. You'll be able to do them. And then there are a couple of white papers that are suggested. I will look into those white papers, how that is helpful in cloud practitioner. So reading white papers is quite boring, I understand that, but that's really helpful to understand. And they might be quite bulky white papers. I'll point you to the exact pages which is useful, or the pointers. And then towards the end you should be able to take a prepared readiness exam readiness virtual training, and we will talk about that later. Okay.
Prasad, there are some of the folks who are not able to listen to the audio. They are telling that in the chat.
Okay, if guys, if you're not able to listen to audio, just log out and log in again. That's what I can suggest. I hope not many people are facing the same issue, but you can always download the Chime window, Chime app, and yes, thank you very much. There are dial-in numbers. You should be able to dial into that, and you should be able to hear from there also. Yeah, I can see few people for whom the button is not coming.
So Prasad, can you please record this session for future reference?
The session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to YouTube in a couple of days.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, session is being recorded. What I am speaking is along with the screen is being recorded. Any further questions before we start diving deep into the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam guide?
Hey, Prasad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ahmed from Riyadh, Prasad. Able to hear my voice?
Yes, Ahmed, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, though I joined late because I faced a problem, but now it got rectified. It's very good. Okay, fine. Okay, Prasad, okay. See, I'm fully into software testing and now into governance. So my intention of this particular course is just to get into this AWS and pursue further to get acquainted with this the buzzing thing technology. So is it apt for me, right? Because I'm not from any infrastructure background or development background. I'm purely software testing background, Prashad.
Yeah, definitely. So you can always you can always go for cloud practitioner, because that is not
Okay.
exactly for technical. It is even for business and functional, everyone, so that you understand the basics of the cloud. Because going forward, the future is cloud. All companies will be moving to cloud. Even your software testing would be happening on the cloud. So it will be good to understand that. And once you do the cloud practitioner, then you can gauge your interest, as well as your future scope, that whether you want to pursue your career in cloud, and decide accordingly whether you want to go more deep technically into it or not. But cloud practitioner is something that I would still recommend, that even if you're not from a technical background, you should go for it.
Perfect, Prashad. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. And guys, yeah, I'll be sharing all the links, after the class, when I'll be uploading this video, in the description, you'll be able to find all the links that I'm talking about here. Okay, so then let's look into the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam guide. What I'll do is that I have a few things scribbled from the previous batch. I'm going to open that, and that should hopefully help. So yeah, as I say, Cloud Practitioner, it's a two-pager exam guide. In the first page, it mainly tells about what exactly it will be validating of for the examinee. It will be like what's the value of AWS Cloud, or the share responsibility model, cloud security best practices, which core services AWS has, and the common use cases when you will be able to which service is required for which service. So we'll be looking into all of them, today and in the coming weeks. From the exam, the way exam is structured is that there will be multiple choice questions. For a few questions, it will be like one answer. For a few questions, it will be multiple answers. There is no negative marking, as you say, unanswered questions are incorrect, and there is no penalty for guessing. They simply say that here. So which is great, and it will be like a the number of questions that they say is not revealed, but they say that the scoring is between 100 to 1000, and the passing score is 70%, which very frankly is not very difficult for cloud practitioner to achieve. It might be a bit difficult, or not, so I would say be really moderately for your associate. Professional, yes, it is actually difficult, so for cloud practitioner it should be pretty much easy, at least from the folks who are from the technical background, or who has from coming from a computer science background. You'll be able to relate a lot of it. Okay, so I'll go to the next page here, and this is where it says the content outline, how the four domains that they talk about. Let me put it here so that we can see all the four domains. So first domain is cloud concepts, and we have 26% of it. Second domain is security and compliance, 25%. Technology is 33%. That's taking the most of your, the chunk of the exam paper. And the billing pricing is 16%. That sums up to over 100%. So we'll look into how we should be, if we create a 4-week plan for studying for AWS Cloud Practitioner, then on what we should be focusing on. So I'm assuming here people would be able to spend around 6 to 8 hours in a week of self-study. And if that's the case, then yes, by the end of week 4 you should be ready to appear for cloud practitioner and clear it. So in the week 1, as we see, there are two domains. Domain 1 is cloud concepts, and domain 2 is security and compliance. In the cloud concepts, we'll be talking about how do we define the cloud, or what is value proposition, how what is the cloud economics, means from the cost perspective side, and different cloud architecture design principles. For that, we do have AWS White Paper, which is AWS Overview White Paper, and we'll look into it. And it's a quite large white paper. It's plus 90 plus pages, so you will need not read all of them. The first 8 pages should be enough to understand to get you started about all the cloud concepts. So we'll go through those first 8 pages today. Rest is something that you will be looking into it when required, but yeah, there are other ways to go to the rest of the study material rather than going through the white paper. But we'll have a quick glance of the table of contents to understand what is covered in this white paper, and we'll go through the first 8 pages. The second is security and compliance, which is actually very important when you come to cloud. One thing that I say is the most important is the security, and that's what you are tested on a lot. So if you see 25% of your paper would be on security and compliance, and it'll keep on increase when you go to associate, and so on and so forth. So every AWS service that will be having, it will be having a security and compliance associated with it. So there'll be no AWS service that we'll be talking about which will be in silo, which will not have a security or compliance around it. So to start with, we'll have to understand the shared responsibility model, and that's a really important concept, which might seem very straightforward. It is actually very straightforward, but it's good to understand the nitty-gritties of it. Then we'll talk about the cloud security and compliance concepts of it. Then we have one of the most important service, IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. This is through which you'll be able to control the authentication, authorization, and access of all the AWS resources. So that's really important, and we'll be doing a quick hands-on on this today. So these two, so I believe if with a 6 to 8 hours of a study, in week 1 you should be able to cover both of these domains. And for doing the hands-on, we will be today looking into creating a free tier AWS account. If you already do not have, I highly recommend to do that. And I'll be, just to demonstrate, I'll try and do it for you guys today. Or if any of you wants to do it and share their screen and do it, and so that everyone else can follow, that will be great. It does not take more than 10 or 15 minutes to do that. And once we have the free tier account, we'll set up a billing alert so that you are sure that you are using only the services which are in free tier, and nothing gets cost to you. You need to provide a credit card, but nothing gets nothing is charged unless you start using services which are chargeable. And then we'll do a quick hands-on on IAM, Identity Access Management, which have the concepts of users, roles, groups, so on and so forth. Okay. With that, we will once you're comfortable with these concepts, then we'll come on to week 2, which will be the technology. And this is where I would say you'll have to spend most of your time understanding all the concepts, because this is what is going to not only help you for cloud practitioner, but also is going to help you for your AWS Solution Architect, especially the core services, like whether it is compute or storage or networking or database. Also, AWS Global Infrastructure, that's really important. We'll look into global infrastructure today with our cloud concepts, but that's also important. So for this, I recommend everyone doing 6 hours free digital training course. That the link was also shared in the Chime window, which I see, and I'll be sharing all these resources. So this 6 hours digital training window is really going to help you. So let me try and open that. Where did it go? Yes, here it is. So this is the link. AWS Cloud Practitioner Essentials. It is free to take for you. Just you can take digital course, and it's going to go through all the concepts that we are talking about in detail. So it's going to cover all the 4 domains, not just that domain 3. But yeah, this is really helpful for the domain 3 actually. And as I said, cloud practitioner is intended for sales, legal, marketing, business analysis. It's not only just for the technology guys, but it's also for other, general overview of cloud. So it helps everyone. Okay, so let us go back here. So week 2, when you'll be at a comfortable position of understanding most of these concepts. So week 3, I would say it will be more of a light week when you will be looking mainly into billing and pricing, that how the overall cost works. You should be able to understand, what services cost, how are they priced, not exactly what is the prices, but what is the pricing model is. That's what will be more important. AWS has like more than 175 services. It's almost impossible to understand each, to know the exact price of each and every one. That all is public. So we'll be able to, I'll show you AWS calculator, through which you'll be able to calculate the prices on the go whenever you want, even before consuming them. Okay. So that will be mainly week 3. Even in week 3, there'll be a lot of hands-on that you can do, which is like, mainly we have a billing dashboard, AWS budgets, AWS organizations. So when we'll be looking into AWS console, if we go to these tabs and play a bit around with these, you'll be very comfortable with that. We also have a AWS white paper, which is AWS pricing overview. This is a relatively smaller white paper, around I believe 13 pages or something like that. So we can go through that in week 3, and it would be sufficing. In week 2, as I said, 6 are digital free training courses. This will also take you through some hands-on labs, but I'll also encourage you to do a lot of hands-on on your own. Like just spin up a EC2 instance of a free tier. It's not going to cost you anything. Just spin up a EC2 Windows machine, do a remote desktop in it, create a VPC network, that is networking infrastructure that is required around to spin up a EC2 compute, or spin up a database. So do those things which are in free tier. It will really help you. And then once you're good with week 3, week 4, I would ask you to guys to spend some time in the practice exams. There are a lot of practice tests that are available. We can also here practice together, one full practice test, or around 30-40 questions. We can do it over a Kahoot. But there are a lot of practice tests that are available online that you should be able to do. And then when you are feeling confident, book an exam date and give the exam. So around 4 to 5 weeks from now would be a good timeline for everyone in this group to clear the cloud practitioner certification. Any questions before we move forward? Any questions on where to start from for cloud practitioner certification or something like that, or what exactly the exam comprises of?
Hi, Prasad. I'm Sunil here. Yeah. So actually, just wanted to know what would be the cost of the cloud practitioner certification exam?
Okay, I'll answer that. So a cloud practitioner certification exam is 100 USD, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's 100 USD, and you'll be always able to find those answers in AWS certification FAQ. So
AWS Solution Architect exam, that is also $100, right?
that is $150. So your cloud practitioner foundational is $100. Your solution architect, yes, your associate level certifications are $150, and professional level are even higher. But good part is, once you clear your cloud practitioner, you will, or any certification, you get a 50% voucher for your next certification. So that takes away the cost. So your associate certification would be like $75 instead of $150, because you got a coupon by passing the cloud practitioner certification.
Okay, fine.
Hope that helps. Okay, now there is a question on, is there a digital training option for Solution Architect Associate as well? Yeah, that's a good question. You'll be able to find all the digital courses. Let me go here. Sorry, let me put everyone on mute again. Okay. So let's go and see AWS digital courses. I hope they'll be able to take us to the AWS and not all the. So this one. Yes, course descriptions. So if you see here, if you go here, AWS course description, there are free digital trainings. If you take a digital training, it will be able to go to a page where all the free digital trainings are listed. So here, if you start searching, you'll be able to find your Solution Architect Associate. Like exam. It's not. It's more of an exam readiness than the full training. But this is where you'll be able to find that. So let me try and search it for you. Solution Architect. So why I'm trying to show these so that you guys can be able to do it themselves. I'll also provide you the links, direct links, but so that in case if you guys want to search for any other anyone is interested in databases, anyone is interested in Postgres specific or Microsoft SQL Server or machine learning, so on and so forth. There are a lot of digital training which are free and available here. From fundamental to intermediate, you can put all the filters here. If you want a specific domain, you go ahead, you can put a specific domain here. Like you want to search something serverless, a specific language that you want, and have the digital one, because those are free. Classroom one are paid. Go ahead and go for the paid one if you really want. It will be for AWS instructor, and they are really good. But digital trainings are equally good, experience level and so on and so forth. But let's search for Solution Architect. Okay, there are a lot many that are coming here. So I see exam readiness for DevOps engineer. Certification quiz show. There's a quiz show that is going on, Associate episode 6. So you'll be able to, let me go here and see if there is a series that can help. Nope, there's no series that is shown. But for sure I have seen. Give me just one moment. Let me find the link out. Thanks a lot, everyone, for showing the interest. Okay. Just 1 second. I'm not able to find it right now. There. Exam readiness.
Yes, search for exam readiness, not solution architect.
Oh yes. So if you see here, this is the one. Exam readiness, AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate one. So just search for exam readiness here, and you'll be able to find exam readiness courses for all of them. So this one is for Solution Architect Associate. It should be I think couple of hours. Let's see how many hours it is. Yeah, it is 2 hours. So it's not going to be as extensive as a Cloud Practitioner digital course, because it's just exam readiness, but this is a really good one. Okay, I see there are a lot of other questions. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Yes, if we clear Solution Architect Associate, then you'll get another coupon, 50% for professional. Yeah, that's true. And then we have how many questions are there in Cloud Practitioner. That is not revealed, but you'll be able to easily find them. If you Google them. But it is kind of confidential. And it's everyone who gives an exam signs indemnification that they will not be revealing any information about the exam questions or the type of questions and so on and stuff. So whatever is given exam readiness is what we are allowed to share publicly. I want to make a career in cloud architect role. How much programming skills are required to do this job? Okay, I answered this separately, probably over the group, or if you are a part of the Telegram group, please ask this question there so that it will benefit wider group. Here it will take a lot of time, but in a nutshell, not much. There are other skills which can be used for cloud architect role rather than programming skills. That's just one of the role. So cloud architect role is very broad. There are many functions in a cloud architect that can be done. But yeah, I'm happy to answer this in much more detail separately, and I would prefer to do that on the Telegram group so that a wider audience gets benefited. Is AWS giving coupons for free? No, I don't think so. They are giving any coupons for free. Azure does give it. I know whoever does their free trainings, but AWS does not give that. AWS give a free training for their practice exam. So Cloud Practitioner also has a practice exam, which doesn't cost much, but for those they are giving free if you are doing the Twitch link that guys have shared here. So if you go and register for that and you say that, then we'll can I please share the Telegram group details? Sure, I'll be sending on the WhatsApp group. I do not have them handy right here, but yeah, I'll send the a link on the WhatsApp so that everyone who is not part of the Telegram group are able to join that. Okay. So we are lagging a lot behind on the time, but that is fine. So with that, let us probably start into actually this. Okay, let us start into the week one concepts. Obviously, we'll not be able to cover them way too in deep, but I would like to give you guys an overview. So with that, as I said, we'll go through the AWS white paper, the first 8 pages. So let's go through the white paper. Okay, where are you able to find the white paper? First, let's look into that. So to find the white paper, it's pretty straightforward. If you go here, it says, in the foundational level exam where you're going for the preparation, certification preparational, foundation level exams. So in certification preparation, you have all the levels. For foundational level, they have different, like these tabs. So one of the tab is read AWS white papers and FAQs. So white paper here, if you see overview of Amazon AWS service, and so this is the white paper that they have, and you see this is pretty recent. They keep upgrading it every a quarter or every 6 months, so that it's latest and greatest always. So yeah, latest one is August 2020. Now let's go here and then let's look into that. So I'll go, yeah. Okay, this is fine. So let's go to the table of contents and try and highlight it so that you guys have it. Okay, so we'll go through the introduction of what is a cloud introduction, what is cloud computing. This is really important to understand. So if you have basic understanding of cloud computing, great, but even if you're starting from scratch, you will try and focus on this so that everyone understands, say, what exactly the cloud computing is. Then yes, 6 advantages of cloud computing. This will be really helpful, to understand, even in your, career, to understand, why cloud computing, why the whole world is talking about cloud computing, and why each and every company is moving towards cloud computing. It's really down to these 6 advantages, kind of, and we'll look into them in greater detail. Then the types of cloud computing model, it's good to understand. So we'll look into that. The global infrastructure is important, especially from AWS perspective. You should be understanding, how AWS global infrastructure is and how they're able to provide these cloud services. So we'll look into that. And as I said, security and compliance is important. So we'll look into both aspects of it, security and the compliance. I'll also share, for these, there's a white paper separately. I'll share that. There is a reinvent video which I will share, which will be really helpful for you guys to understand. And also I'll point you to the web pages where you'll be able to find the more details about these. Then cloud platform. This is where you see it's a quite big. So if you look at the first 3. So in the cloud platform, the first 3 talks about how you are able to access the AWS cloud platform. You'll be able to access cloud platform through AWS Management Console, or AWS command line interface, or the software development kit. So we'll look into these 3. Below that, if you see, they're all services of AWS in different categories, like what AWS services have in analytics and application integration, AR and VR, AWS cost management, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of AWS categories in which AWS services has, like for example, compute, for example, database, for example, storage, and so on and so forth. Security and compliance. So we look into this, but in a different way, rather than we can come back to this white paper if required. But for today, or for this cloud practitioner certification, the first 8 pages till here is what I would recommend everyone to go through and understand. So let's do that together. Okay. So from the introduction perspective, everyone, there's a common question that comes up, why did Amazon think about AWS? Amazon is mainly Amazon is a retail company, right? So where it's an online marketplace. So why did they think about AWS? So it's with over a decade of running the infrastructure, or building and running a highly scalable web application, which is Amazon.com itself. They have ingrained expertise in running highly scalable infrastructure. And that's when they thought that this is something that will be useful for everyone. And they embarked upon a much broader use case of helping the developers and the IT businesses. And that's how the whole AWS started. So like today, AWS provides a highly reliable, scalable, low cost infrastructure platform. So this platform was evolved over the time for Amazon.com initially, and when you were able to get to a point, then they were able to support Amazon.com, and they thought that they will be able to do a much a better service providing these to the wider platform. They made it into AWS. So what exactly is cloud computing? This is like AWS is pioneer in cloud computing. So what exactly is cloud computing, or what exactly the term means? It terms different things for different people, but from us AWS perspective, we define it as a on-demand delivery. So it's on-demand delivery of IT resources, and the IT resources can be like a compute or the power, or database storage applications, and we'll talk about that via the internet. That's important. It's like via the internet with a pay-as-you-go pricing model. And we'll look into each of these term, and while we'll discuss even the benefits, we'll be able to refer them why these terms are important. So on-demand delivery is that whenever you need, you will be able to access those resources. So let's say if you want a server right now in a traditional world, in a data center, whoever would have come from a data center world, they'll be able to understand that if you want a data if you want a server, then you'll have to procure it, and then when the server would be arriving, you need to provision it, and you'll to plug in the power and so on and so forth. Then for the data center, you'll have to have the cooling mechanism in place. You need to have the kind of the storage, the hard disk, or the whichever the systems that you would like to have in place. You need to have all that. But when it comes to cloud, you will be able to access those resources on demand via the internet. Everything behind the scenes is an API. You will be able to call the API to get those resources, and you'll be able to start using them. And so all those IT resources, even for a database, in case if you want a database, you'll first purchase a server, then you will purchase a software license. You're going to install the software on on the server, and then you will provision them. So all those heavy lifting goes away. All that is done by the cloud for you, and you need to just access it through an API. And the best part is pay as you go pricing model. It means that it's not that you'll have to purchase everything in advance. You need to you only pay for the resources that you have consumed. It's more like electricity. If you think about in electricity, you consume it when you need it. So when you enter the home, you switch on the light, and the electricity starts coming to your home. It does not matter to you that where it is getting generated or how is it getting delivered to you. or you do not have like a DG at your home to generate the electricity for yourself, right? So all that is happening somewhere, and when you need it, you just switch on the light and it comes to you. At the month end, you get a bill of the amount of electricity that you have consumed. So that should be similar for the IT resources. At the end of the month, the bill should be as per the resources that you have, as per the compute resources that you have used. So that's the whole concept of the cloud computing. I hope that helps in understanding the basics. We'll look into it in more detail when we'll be talking about the benefits right now. But yeah, in case if you have any question here, please do let me know. So yeah, here it is. With cloud, you do not need to, you do not need to make large upfront investments in hardware and spend a lot of time on heavy lifting of managing that hardware. You provision exactly what the right size and type of compute instance you need, and you'll be able to use it and only pay for what you use. So that's what the whole cloud computing concept is.
So Prasad?
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, we can say that it's a plug and play.
In a way, yes. It depends upon how you define plug and play. So that's a different concept altogether, plug and play. But yes,
Okay.
you will be able to use it when it is required.
Fine. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next page. 6 advantages of cloud computing. So let's start from the first one. Trade capital expense with a variable expense. What does that mean? Is that instead of investing heavily in the data centers, I'll give you a very simple example. I started my career with a telecom company, and then there when I actually and that particular example will be fitting well for almost all of them, at least the first 3 of them. So when we were thinking about launching a specific application, we always had to predict what do you call the usage of it, that how many users would be using it in the short term as well as in the long term. And based on the long term prediction, we used to provision the resources. We used to request our IT department that we need to have these many resources available for this application that we are launching. We used to make that request. I used to put into the procurement. The procurement guys used to get the servers for us. Then we used to provision them, and so on and so forth. So it used to be like a 3 months to 6 months lag before while the application development is going on, the parallel process, there's another team who is working on this entire production suite that needs to be supported for the application. So all that pre purchasing of those servers is not required in cloud, and that is why we call it as trade capital expense with the variable expense. So you do not put a lot of capital expense in setting up your infrastructure or purchasing those servers in your data center. Instead, you will be able to use them as a variable expense, that you will be only provisioning the resources that are needed for at that particular time, depending upon the load that you are experiencing, and knowing that you will be able to scale up and scale down instantaneously. You need not invest heavily in your infrastructure upfront. So that is trading capital expense for variable expense. And the second one is a kind of a extension to it. The first two I would say are mainly for the cost. First is trading capital expense for variable expense, and second is benefiting from massive economies of scale. That means that, let's say, even if there is one company who thinks that I am a big, we'll be able to have these variable expenses within ourselves. But even this variable expenses, because of the economies of scale at which the Amazon operates, this would be much lower than any variable expense that a company can do it on their own. So think about cooling of your data centers, to providing the power, to networking, to everything. So all that because of the economies of scale that we operated, and we'll talk about that in the last point, go global, in minutes. We'll talk about the global infrastructure that we have. So economies of scale is much low, variable cost is much lower when you start using AWS. The third point is stop guessing capacity, and this is which we call as elasticity. We need not guess the capacity upfront. We do not need to understand, whether my application will be accessed by 10 users or 10 of thousands of users or million users upfront. As long as you design your application architecture in a way that it is scalable, the resources you will be able to get them instantly on the on the cloud. Then we have increased speed and agility. So this is again, going back to example, it increases speed because in case if I need to, let's say I need a database, then I'll have to think about a server. I have to think about the database license. I'll have to think about installing that software onto the server and then provisioning it, and that all hampers your developer team. Instead of that, think about, if you want a server, you just go to AWS Management Console and you just click and you have a EC2 compute resource at your service, or for that matter database resource, a ready database resource at your service. All you need to do is start creating the tables on the database, or provisioning your database the way you want. So that increases the overall speed and agility of your team, and that helps them in experimenting a lot, because all of this hurdles that the development team face are removed, so they are able to experiment a lot faster. And this I say to all my, even my clients, that the team that experiments fast and fails fast are the one who are who are able to succeed further, because even if one experiment succeeds, your overall return over investment is much higher. Then the point is stop spending money running and maintaining data centers. So this is again, like you did not have to do the heavy lifting. Instead, focus on what differentiates your business. Focus on having a transformation of the businesses rather than of spending time in running and maintaining data centers. And this inculcates the culture of innovation, because all your heavy lifting is undifferentiated heavy lifting is done by the cloud providers. You as a company are able to focus mainly on the things that matters for your business and your customers. And finally, grow global in minutes. This is more like when you start prototyping, you will be starting prototyping in a very a constrained or a small manner. But then when you think that your idea is good enough and it needs to it can be reaching your audience globally, you will be able to actually take benefit of AWS global infrastructure to grow global within minutes. So think about companies like Netflix. So Netflix runs entirely on AWS, and you would be understanding that Netflix is is accessed globally everywhere, or for that matter, Airbnb. So think about these businesses who would have started bootstrapped from very small scale, and then when they started expanding, they were able to expand very, very quickly into all the geographies, and so that they are able to so that they were able to provide their applications and services to the end users across the globe at a very, very low latency. Let's say if you have your own data center and you have let's say 3 or 4 data centers across the world, but then in case if your users are not from that particular part of the world, then they will be facing latency. Will you be watching movies in case if Netflix streaming is very slow? No, right? So we'll not be able to do that. So users are, as we say, they're always beautifully unsatisfied. They always need a better experience, and that you'll be able to provide when you'll be you use cloud optimally. So these are the reasons why people are moving to cloud, and what are the advantages of cloud. So if you map this back to the cloud definition, which is on demand delivery, like stop guessing capacity. Whenever you need, you will be able to get it. Of IT resources, so all the IT resources that you need, which is trade capital expense, you do not need those IT resources upfront. You can have them on demand. At pay as you go pricing model, which is like massive economies of scale, or stop spending money running data centers, you will be able to get them when you want it. Any questions at this stage? So if you understand these, so these are the few of the concepts which you will be actually reading for the cloud practitioner. So it's good to understand all these basics. Okay, so let us move forward. The types of cloud computing. So there are 3 types of cloud computing. One is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. I'll touch upon them at a very high level. So infrastructure as a service, think about that you have a server in your data center, but instead of this having physical server, you want to access it as a service. So what you will do is that you will go to the cloud provider and ask for a server, the kind of, it depends upon, how many CPUs you want, or how many memory you want, or how many, hard disk you want. You can put those parameters, and we'll see the, like to like terminology what we have in AWS. So it'll be like a smaller instance will be a T3 micro, a larger instance might be a T3 X large or something like that. So you'll tell them that I need this particular like compute and memory power service. Can you please provide me? And then with that server, you will be able to do the way you want. You will be able to have the full access and flexibility to install all the softwares and manage the whole server on your own. Then we have platform as a service. Then instead of having the full EC2 service for yourself, you can include as a platform. Like for example, you can have the full database as a platform, and you can use the database instead of getting a EC2 server and installing a database on it. You can say that I need a SQL server, or I need a MySQL, and you'll be able to access that entire platform as a service. Then we have software as a service, which is the highest level of abstraction, I would say. And then we'll also, we have something called serverless, which is even more abstracted. But software as a service is more like they're ready software modules which you will be able to use. For example, in case in your application you want a way to send emails to everyone, then we have a service called SES, which is a simple email service, and you should be able to access it via API within your integrate within your application. So just a REST API, provide the parameters, and you need not build anything for sending emails within your application. You will be able to use the software as a service from here. Similarly, we do have a lot of partners and vendors who have provided their software as a service on our marketplace. We have AWS Marketplace, on which those are hosted, which you will be able to just use it and with a pay-as-you-go pricing model. Okay. Yes, so as people are saying, Gmail, Office 365, there are examples of software as a service. There's another question, I believe, which is for IIS. Are the ARM process-based instances? Yes, there are. Like we have both types of like sites of processors, Intel and ARM. Okay, so let me move ahead. Any other questions before we move? If not, we'll move ahead. Good. In the cloud deployment models, again, I'll touch upon them very quickly. There are 3 types of deployments. We'll start with on-premise. So on-premise is the way traditionally all the organizations have been doing. Every organization have their own data centers, and they have all the resources, whether it is compute, database, and everything from their data centers, and all the people or developers or the the operations and the infrastructure guys access those resources. So this is something called even a private cloud, because obviously not every company would be having their data center. So there are private clouds who provide these services. Then we will look into the cloud. So cloud is basically, I'll just read the definition: fully deployed in the cloud. Your entire application is being accessed from the cloud. So you do not own any hardware, or you just access the hardware resources that you need from the cloud provider. And then there is another model, which is a hybrid. So most of these enterprises that you see, they work in the hybrid model to start with. So when they start their cloud journey, it's not that they will be able to switch over overnight. So it's a 3 to 4 years plan. So during that time, most of these enterprises work in a hybrid model where they have some of the infrastructure in their own on-premise data center and some of the infrastructure on the AWS cloud. Hybrid model is also sometimes like it's multi-cloud. Few organizations, they don't want to have dependency on one specific cloud provider, so they do have a multi-cloud infrastructure in which they have few resources on AWS, few resources on Azure or Google or IBM Cloud, Oracle, or the private cloud. So that's specifically the hybrid cloud. Okay, so any questions at this point?
Yeah, hi Prasad. This is Sunil here. So if it's a combination of on-premise as well as cloud, so even that would be termed as a hybrid cloud?
Yes, that is a hybrid cloud. That's exactly a hybrid cloud. And then we need to think about the connectivity between the on-premise and the cloud, that how the resources will be interacting with each other. And we'll be talking about that in detail in the further sessions. But that's exactly what hybrid cloud is.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks.
So if you
Hi, Marisha here. So in a hybrid environment, when we are sharing between multiple clouds, how does an organization differentiate their resources and maintaining different cloud environments?
So there are tools that is provided by every cloud provider to how to manage their, and then every enterprise organization have their own sets of operation policies and processes through which they do that.
Okay. Okay, and what is it provided by AWS? Any specific?
So there are lots. So we have AWS Systems Manager through which you are able to look into all the AWS resources that you have, and then we have multiple monitoring tools. We'll discuss that. For cloud practitioner, that will not be required in detail, but solution architect will be needed in few detail. But yeah, AWS Systems Manager is a good place to start to understand what all infrastructure you have of AWS.
Okay, sure, thanks.
So if you see here,
Prasad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Prasad, you mentioned on-premises is also known as private cloud, but private cloud is different, right? Because when we say on-premise, it is within we'll have a dedicated data center associated with the respective company. But this is my opinion, probably correct my understanding. But the private cloud is nothing but in the cloud. There will be a dedicated resources assigned only to a specific entity, or the on-premises otherwise known as private cloud, because I'm a bit confused in that area.
I'll try and explain that. So it depends upon how large a company you are. So if you are a company where you can afford to have your own data centers, like most telecom companies have their own data centers, which is great, good enough. But if you are a company who is not large enough to maintain your own data centers, and yet you operate uh, uh, across multiple regions, then you might be needing a provider who will be able to provide you these. So there are companies who provide just the data center services, right? And those data centers are located in multiple places, and you are able to have kind of a contract between that company, which is a private cloud company, that you will be accessing their data centers, and they are not kind of a public cloud, they are kind of private clouds. And that is why sometimes for the companies who are not able to have their own data centers, they use these private clouds, or are used to use private clouds. Now mostly people are coming to the public cloud.
Sure, Prasad. Okay.
Cool. And we have an example like Equinox. There's another example in Sono. So there are multiple companies who do provide private clouds.
Sure, Prasad. Sure.
Cool. Okay. So let's move ahead. Global infrastructure. one of my favorite topic. So the first line itself tells a lot of things. AWS serves over 1 million active customers in more than 190 countries, and that's where I was talking about the massive economies of scale that comes with and that just because that it operates at such a scale that the variable expense that AWS is able to achieve, it's you will not be able to achieve on your own. So AWS Cloud, we do have, and let's go to this link, AWS Global Infrastructure, and in fact, I'll open that here. Give me just 1 second. So there are two places that you will be able to see the global infrastructure, AWS Global Infra. If you click here, so it's AWS Global Infrastructure. This is more in a web format. They say that we have 24 regions across the globe where we have regions. We'll talk about the concept of regions, availability zones, data centers, of which we have 77 availability zones. Okay, and then we have points of presence and direct connect locations. So direct connect locations is a physical network between a kind of this is mainly used for the hybrid scenarios where there are large organizations who have their data centers and they want connectivity to AWS. So we do have a direct connect location. It's a physical fiber layer which is there between AWS and the company data center. So those are the direct locations, and then we have points of presence. We look into these in more detail from the Magic Quadrant perspective. Every year, Gartner releases their a survey not a survey, a research report in which AWS has been on top for more than a decade now, and they continues to be dominating the market. Yes, Microsoft and Google are doing really well and they are catching up fast, but yeah, AWS is far ahead, as you can even see in this graph, and this report is by Gartner. This is what is more important, the global infrastructure map. So here, if you see, this tells exactly where the AWS regions are and what are the upcoming regions. So we have 3 upcoming regions: Spain, Jakarta, and Osaka. So these are 3 upcoming regions. Rest, all the regions are already there. If you click on any of the region, they'll be able to, they tell you exactly which region is, when it was launched, and how many availability zones are. So now let's try and understand the concept of regions and availability zones, and that will be really helpful in understanding, the whole AWS infrastructure. And there will be questions. There will be questions for sure on this in your Cloud Practitioner and Solution Architect Associate examination. The concept of availability zones, regions, and data centers. So to start with, I'll start from what I generally tell even to my clients. A lot of people think that a data center or a region is a data center. When we say we have a region in, let's say, London, they think that there is a data center in a London region. No. A region is a separate geographic location where we have a lot of data centers. And when I say lot of data centers, a region is comprised of more than one availability zone, typically 3 availability zones. So one region comprises of more than 3 availability zones. Each availability zone has multiple data centers. So it's a collection of data centers, typically 3 to 8 data centers, which are kind of physically located, but they are isolated, are physically located in a specific place, but they're isolated in terms of the networking power and stuff, so that if there's a failure in one data center, the other data center is not affected. We combine such facilities, multiple data centers, and make it one availability zone. We combine multiple availability zones into one region, and these availability zones are in separate, they are separated by around 60 to 100 kilometers apart, so that they have this physical separation in case there is a unforeseen situation happening. Then your still region is up and running. So everything fails. One thing that you should be always designing your application is for that things are going to fail. whether it is compute, whether it is memory, whether it is hard disk, things are going to fail. Or someone might, like just dig up a hole and your networking cable is cut, right? So things would fail. What we need to design is for resiliency, that even if there is such failure, your application is resilient enough that it is still up and running. To provide that level of resiliency to the applications, we have designed this infrastructure from ground up, wherein these data centers, though co-located, but they have separate power, networking, and like so on and so forth. And we combine them to availability zone, and these availability zones are separated like with few hundred few kilometers apart, so that if there is something happening in one specific availability zone, the other is still isolated. And these availability zones are connected with a very low latency network, so that there is no replication lag, or even when the resources are talking to each other, there is no lag. And we combine these multiple availability zones into one region. And then when you talk about disaster recovery, this is still building the resiliency in your application. When you deploy an application, you deploy an application to multiple availability zones, so that even when availability zone is not available, your application is still up and running. And then you talk about disaster recovery, that let's say London is on fire, or some specific region got into a war zone, or there's a cyclone or flood coming. If the entire region is out of inaccessible, even then your application should be up and running. And that's where the disaster recovery concepts comes into picture, where you'll be having your entire application running in other region, either in a hot state or a warm state or a cold state, keeping as a standby based on your RTO and RPO requirements. Recovery time objective and recovery point objective, that how would you like to design for your disaster recoveries. But we'll talk about those strategies later. For now, to understand is what is a data center. Data center is collection of IT resources, just like there's some hardware, there's some servers, there is some like networking cables, there is like storage, so on and so forth. That's your data center. We combine multiple data centers to make it one availability zone. And these data centers are in themselves fault tolerant, that if one data center is out, then there's other data center still available, so you'll be able to still access. Within availability zone, after all these data centers are there, we combine multiple availability zones, which are a few kilometers apart, up to 100 kilometers, so that even if this one availability zone is out for some reason, the other availability zone is still up and running, and your application, when architected in a way that they are resilient, they will still be available to your end user. And we combine these multiple availability zones into one region. You'll be able to find those definitions in much more detail. Let's go to regions and AZs, if I'm not wrong. Here, yes. So if you see here, I'll expand this. So here, for global map, you'll be able to see exact regions and how many availability zone are there in each region, for a specific area. In North America, as you see, US East has 3 availability zone, US West has 4. There is one availability zone which has 6. Yes, US East. So this is the availability. This is the region which was the first region where your Amazon.com and everything was. We have 6 availability zones here. This is if you say launched 2006. This is the first region that was launched in 2006. You'll be able to find the details for every region. So let's say Asia Pacific, and we'll look into, we have a region here in Mumbai, which has 3 availability zones, and it was launched in 2016. So you'll be able to find all those. The first region in Asia Pacific was Singapore, which has 3 availability zones. It was 2010 launched. Okay. Now, yeah, so just to dive a bit more, or explain you the exact definitions. Region, as long as you understand the concept, definition is not required. But yeah, it's a physical location around the world where we cluster data centers. So it's multiple data centers. We call each group of logical data centers as availability zone, which is here. We'll talk about it. Each region consists of multiple isolated and physically separate AZs within a geographic area. That's what's important to understand. AWS customers focused on high availability can design their applications to run in multiple availability zones. So when I have a web application running, I'm going to deploy my web application server into multiple availability zones. That's because even if one availability zone is not functioning, or out temporarily, then your application is still up and running. To achieve even greater fault tolerance, yeah, and infrastructure regions has highest level of security, compliance, and data protection. We'll talk about security and compliance in a moment. Then the availability zones comes into picture. Availability zone is one or more discrete data centers with redundant power, networking, and connectivity in AWS region. So if you see here, so this is what makes your even availability zone resilient. So because it has multiple data centers in it. So yeah, go through these. As you say, AZ is availability zone is physically separated by a meaningful distance, many kilometers, all within 100 kilometers of each other. So they are, distant but close enough still, so that when the resources speak to each other, the latency is not much. So again, I like this line. If an application is partitioned across AZs, companies are better isolated and protected for such as power outages, lightning strikes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and more. So these, these are things that your application will be inherently resilient for if you design it to be deployed into multiple availability zones. Then we have a concept of local zones, which places compute storage, all the services in a select AWS services like close to the end users. So wherever end users say that we are having a high demand of this particular service, so we have a local zone there, and we provide those services from that local zone. Our wavelength is mainly coming from the 5G networks. Yep, that should be good enough. So yeah, other thing to just understand is the points of presence or the edge locations. So this is where our content delivery network comes into picture. So Amazon has its own CDN, content delivery network, which is called as CloudFront. This from where your applications or your static resources or even dynamic resources are served to your end customers in a very, very low latency manner. That's AWS Global Infrastructure for you guys. Let me look. I think there are questions. How many data centers are available in one availability zone? So the number of data centers availability zone is it's not actually revealed, but it's typically between 1 to 8. And for number of availability zones in a region is between 3 to 6. When we spin up a availability zone level service like EC2, at how many data centers that EC2 instance gets created? So these things are not revealed very frankly. So these are like behind the scenes. This all has been constructed in a way that it is resilient. Any more questions?
Hi, Prasad.
Yeah.
Hey, so one question is, what is the difference between local zone and the edge location?
So edge location is mainly, as I said, is a content delivery network. It will not be having its own compute power or database service or something like that. Right? So local zone is going to have kind of a mini center where you'll be able to have these services available.
So you mean like, so local zone is gonna have those compute services. Like if I want to spin up EC2, like will I have an option to choose local zone, just like I get to choose my availability zone?
You will not be having all the accesses that you will be able to do via availability zone, but a few of them. So if you see with AWS local zone, you can easily run highly demanding applications which require single digit latencies for the end users.
Okay. And coming back to my previous question, like how many data centers will that an EC2 get spun up? So like my question is more like, say if I create an application and spin up EC2 at one availability zone and I don't have any redundancy built in, and say suppose one of the data center goes goes out. So does that mean my application is going down, or is AWS is assuring me that like though one data center goes away, at least it is redundant at data center level? Like when I design my application,
So
should I
best practice
consider
says that
data
when you
center
design
to
your
the
application, you should be thinking about multiple AZs. So a recommendation is from us to design your application across multiple AZs. That's the recommendation that we give.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, any idea like why? I mean, generally the discrete thing is at a data center level, right? Like whenever we spin up like in a VM or ESX host, which whatever is located at a data center. But why AWS is not considering that as a discrete, like it is giving only AZ as a,
Because see,
discrete.
the point is, multiple AZs, when you talk about multiple AZs, right, they are physically separated. And that's where you will be able to, assure. If you talk about a data center, if there is a networking outage, then even if we talk about, so you can always have a self-healing uh, capability. So when you spin up a EC2 instance, then there are ways you can, set up the self-healing. So in case if your EC2 goes down, and you're doing it only in one availability zone, then again it will be coming up. There are ways you can set up auto scaling group with the load balancer, and you can set up the minimum as maximum as 1 and choose only one availability zone. So that what happens that even if your EC2 instance is there's a fault there and it gets deprovisioned, then it gets reprovisioned again within one of the data centers that are there in the availability zone. But it is not going to ensure you that there is no downtime. When it is multiple availability zones, that's when it is going to assure you there will be no downtime.
Okay.
Right?
But if it is, I mean, say if I'm kind of tight on budget, I mean, the reason I'm asking this question is basically even our current scenario, like we have, say, 2 data centers, which are kind of located almost like in the same city, which means like I'm assuming those like a, like these two as a sort of availability zone. So most of the times the way we plan is like what happens if this data center goes down, like we try to switch back to the other data center. So, I mean, similarly, we can do, I mean.
Yes, so
that's the reason
I
I'm kind of
I
thinking
totally
in,
understand. So why that's what that's why we'll have to think a bit more cloud native applications than a data center level applications. So I totally understand. Right now you are having, and probably this will benefit other people also. So think about this. You have two data centers. We'll take exactly example that you have. You have two data centers, data center A and data center B. Okay. Within A, you have an application and you have a tight budget, so you install it only on one server within data center, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that I'm not.
Yeah, I'm just giving
an
example. I'm just giving example. I'm just giving example because of a company XYZ has like a tighter budget, so they are deploying to only one server on a specific data center. Okay. Now, in case if they want to build resiliency, and let's say they do not have a kind of a like budget constraint, then they can have that web application running on more than one server. They can have that running on more than one server within the same data center or across the data centers. What is more beneficial? Running it across the data centers, because in that way you're isolating it this, right? So let's expand this concept to one level up. So when we are designing an application within the cloud, let's design it across multiple availability zone rather than just multiple data centers. So you have your primary within one availability zone and have your secondary in the second availability zone. And you can always configure it as that the secondary would be active only when your primary fails. And this secondary is in another availability zone. So you are not being charged for your secondary because it is not active, and in cloud you are paying only for the resources that you use. Whenever you design your application in a way that your auto scaling group is spread across multiple availability zone, but you have set up your minimum instances as 1 and maximum as 1, So you have only one instance running in one availability zone. And you have also enabled AZ balance, which is availability zone balance, so that in case if this gets deprovisioned for some reason or is not accessible for some reason, your backup resource gets provisioned when it is required in the other availability zone. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 it does. I mean, I'm getting all those things, but I'm coming more from like, say, suppose if my client wants me to design a similar system that we have in, kind of on-premise situation, like wherein I said there are two data centers which are like which are in the same city. They're separated by a few miles, and so and if client wants, hey, I want the application kind of to mimic the on-premise situation. So
So
uh,
we'll have to explain them that this is mimicking your application exactly the similar manner, but taking the
mhm,
benefits of the cloud by introducing the resiliency.
gotcha.
That's where we'll have to educate our
Okay, yeah,
clients that even they need to start thinking the cloud native way. Otherwise, it'll be like they're just replicating their data centers onto cloud, and that will not be beneficial.
okay. But just worst case scenario, like if an application is spun up at one single AZ, and if any particular data center goes down, though with some latency, like I am assured that the same in EC2 is gonna be spun up at a second data center, like just for internal,
Yes,
just from
so you
internal.
will not be knowing which data center is being spun up. They're all logical, but you will be
Okay.
able to instant, depending upon what configuration you have set up. But there will be another EC2
Mhm.
instance that will be spinning up, and your application will be up and running, unless the
Oh, okay.
whole
Okay.
availability zone is down.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's it.
Cool. Okay, so with that we have, let's see, where are we? Okay, I believe we are very pressed on time. Uh, yeah, we have 1.5 hours into the session. I generally try and give a 5 minutes break in between, but we are not being able to take that. But do you guys want a 5 minutes break before we proceed, or to take a quick, coffee or a break, or we are good to go?
Yeah, we can continue, Prasad.
Good to go. Yeah, that's glad to hear that everyone is good to go. Cool. So from security and compliance, generally I try and have these, cover the whole theory part by this point and start on the hands-on lab of creating the AWS free tier account. But we will continue on the theory, and then we'll see how much time we have for creating free tier account. So from the security and perspective, go through this particular, what do you call, white paper. But what we need to understand here is the shared responsibility model, and that's really important. Let me highlight that shared responsibility model. So when we say shared responsibility model, what does exactly mean? There are two parts to the security. One is security of the cloud. So off is the main word here, and then security in the cloud. Okay. So let's break this down and understand more about what is off the cloud and what is in the cloud. So when you talk about off the cloud, then the security of the data centers, the security of the physical machines there, up till the virtualization layer. It is security of the cloud, from the physical data centers to the virtualization layer of operating system. That's security of the cloud. But the applications that the end customers build and deploy it on the AWS, that's security in the cloud. So the security of the cloud is taken care by AWS. They are responsible for all the physical, security, or the security up till the virtualization layer, or those database networking components and everything. But all the applications that the end user develop, or are our clients develop, it's their responsibility to secure it. So if we go to the web page, let me see if we are able to find. AWS shared. Yep, here it is. So why try and do through Google is that you will be able to find it on your own. So here it is. So if you see here, they explain it in quite detail what exactly is security in the cloud, security of the cloud, and I believe there is a small video also somewhere. But this particular diagram, which I'm going to zoom now, is going to help you understand. So this is the security of the cloud that AWS takes care of. All the regions that we have, availability zones, edge locations, hardware and AWS global infrastructure, through the software, compute, storage, database, networking. All this is AWS responsibility. What customer's responsibility is definitely the customer data, all the data of the customer, like that they are saving. So recently you must have seen that, like Samsung has migrated a billion users into AWS, so all those particular data would be customer's responsibility. The platform applications IAM. So we do provide a lot of tools and processes through which you will be able to secure your data and your applications. You should be able to use them. So we provide those tools and services, but you need to use them to configure them in a way that your application is secured. And anti-access management is just one of them. Then network and firewall configuration. So we do provide like the CloudFront has a WAF, which is web application firewall, or we have Shield, which is mainly to protect you against DDoS attacks. But all that configuration needs to be done by the client based on their requirements and use them optimally. Similarly, the encryption part. So whatever we do have the server side encryptions, but enabling those server side encryption is the client's responsibility, or encrypting the data at the client side is client's responsibility. So our storage service is S3, which is simple storage service. So we do have tools to encrypt the data based on the keys that we have our own inherent keys, whereas we have a service called key management service, or you can import your own key. But importing those keys or using any native keys that we provide and enabling that on the particular S3 buckets is client's responsibility. Similarly, even the networking. So we do provide a lot of networking tools, like we have VPCs, we have concept of subnets, we have concept of security group, we have concept of NACLs, which is network access control list. But configuring them in a way that the resources in a specific isolated network are accessible by only the intended audience is the customer's responsibility. And that's really important to understand. That's why we call it shared responsibility model. So go through these, and if you have any questions, please do let me know. Feel free to ask the questions on the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group, and I'll be more than happy to answer. I'll be sharing the link of a reInvent video. It will be a really it will be good to know. So reInvent is an annual conference that is conducted by AWS. It is every year around the December time. This year this will be virtual. During that time, we do announce about all the new AWS services that we are launching, and we do have very deep dive technical sessions, So if you're interested, please do register for that. I believe you would be able to access them online, and you'll be able to learn a lot about AWS. They do have obviously the basics also, as well as the advanced also. So based on at what learning stage you are, you will be able to attend those sessions. That's covering the security and compliance. And security will cover. Yeah, any questions?
Hi, Prasad, Naresh here.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Naresh.
So when we say, I have a question on this shared responsibility model.
Good enough.
So is it, it's an ongoing process of the, shared responsibility, or is it only once, like, whenever we are migrating from on-premise to cloud? So that is when the customer has to take care of, the shared compliance responsibility.
So I'll answer this question in a different way. So when we talk about migrating customer from on-premise to cloud, it is not a one-time activity. It is a continuous activity in the terms that, so customer has been using a data center for some purpose, for building applications, and they keep on increasing, right? So once they have been migrated to AWS or any other cloud provider, it's not just migrating them, but then also continuously supporting them for any new applications that they are building or any new requirements that they have, and also modernizing them. So we have these migration paths, and that probably I'll take another session for migration paths. We have 7 migration paths and modernization path. That is, one of the path that you're talking about here is rehost, which is lift and shift. But then the continuous modernization comes into picture, which is replatforming, like having the containerizing their applications and running the applications in containers in a cloud, or refactoring them to serverless, right? So similarly, it is security. So when you migrate them one time, yes, you have ensured that when they have migrated their all applications and to AWS, and they have like their data center is shut down, that time you have configured the security in a way that it is totally secure and it is being accessed by the intended users only. But then when you start modernizing your applications or adding new services and applications for your client, you'll have to ensure that is done even it is done keeping the security also in the mind for every incremental application or modernization that is being done for them. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Prasad. Thank you.
Cool. Any more questions? If not, let's look into the compliance part of it. So what happens is that from the compliance perspective, so a lot of the industries, whether it is a financial institution, they would have to, ensure that they are PCI DSS compliant, or there might be a healthcare, industries, or organizations who need to have some other compliance regulations, or based on your specific geographic location, you might have to comply with your a specific geographic compliance. Like for example, FedRAMP is very important if you're in US. So are the SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3. And their ISO standards. So all your company needs to have these compliance standards around it. So at AWS, we do have these compliances, but again, this is like kind of shared. If you are talking about using any of our services, then you are not automatically compliant. Yes, the service that you are using is compliant, but you have to use it in a way that it is still compliant. For example, PCI DSS, if you are storing your credit card data, it's like you need to be stored it in a way that it is compliant. When you'll be storing it, yes, the services that you're using to store it, let's say a database service, it is compliant. But then in case if they are not encrypted, you're storing it without encryption, then it is not compliant. So AWS provides a widest range of these compliance and regulation certification, but with a caution that every client needs to be using them in the compliant way. So this takes away a lot of heavy lifting for the customers, because half of the job is already done, because the actual end service is being compliant. Just they need to use it in a way that it is still compliant. Okay, we'll then move on to the last section of this particular AWS white paper, which is how the Amazon Web Services Cloud Platform is accessible. So one way which we look into in whatever little time we have in the last 15 minutes is AWS Management Console. That is, it's a web UI, and you will be able to access all the services from the web UI itself. But then there are other ways, which is AWS CLI. So all the developers or more technical people will be able to understand that we do have CLI commands to access the underlying infrastructure resources. And then we have a software development kit, which is more that in case if you're accessing the services through a programming language like C#, .NET or Java or Node.js, then you will be able to integrate it via SDK directly. Underlyingly, all AWS services are APIs. So whether you're accessing it through a console or CLI or SDK, there's an API that is being called behind the scenes with the parameters, and it's being accessed. SDK just allows it it's a friendly way within a programming language to access those. You can always call the APIs directly also. Okay, so with that, the white paper that I had to cover, the first 8 pages, is complete. Yeah, any questions, or we would be moving forward to the hands-on if possible. So how many of you, if you can, just type it and tell me that does everyone have a free tier account, or does not have a free tier account, or do they have access to AWS account through their organization? I'll be more interested in knowing people who do not have it. Is there anyone who does not have it? Okay, Nirisha does not have it. Louis does not have it. So, okay, I see a mix. People have it and don't have it. So for the people who do not have it, I wish I had time enough that I could be able to create AWS free tier account and show it to you. Or let me do that. If you want, guys, if you guys want to follow it along, let's do it. For those who do not have it, just type AWS free tier and you will be able to find AWS free, aws.com free, and you should be able to create a free tier account. So it's quite a straightforward. Very frankly, you'll have to provide some information. So this is that I created with my previous batch. So you should be able to create your free tier account, and then you should be able to log in. So you will be needing a credit card, but do not worry, it's not charged. Okay, unless you start using services which are out of free tier. And you'll be able to, while provisioning any resources, it does give you an indication that whether this particular service is in a free tier or not. Okay, so let me do one thing. I probably will have to, if I don't. So, okay, let me give it another email ID so that, okay. Account name, I'm going to give it a same. And then click on continue. The passwords are not equal. Okay. Hopefully they should be equal this time. Yeah. Then there's a captcha that comes. So this is where it will be asking you about few of the details that you'll have to enter. So it's not a professional account, it's a personal account. So you go for a personal account and then you will be able to fill these. So after filling these, you would be given a page where you will be able to select which tier account you want. So let me take this to another screen so that, and I'll fill those data and I'll get it back here. So when you fill that data and create and continue, yeah, it is not allowing me to create the same address. But is there anyone who is following, who would like to share their screen so that we can follow that? Louis, are you following? And would you like to share your screen? Who would, so that we can go through that? Or anyone? Or anyone else?
I'm doing it, Prasad. Do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, that will be great. I'll stop my screen sharing.
I'm just on the contact information. Once I
Yes,
fill that,
exactly.
I'll.
Yeah. So after the contact information, it will ask for even for the credit card. When it comes to the support plans, there are 3 support plans it will be telling. Just for the benefit of everyone, it's the basic, the developer, the enterprise. These and there is a business. Let's open the support plans, AWS support plans, and that is even required for your cloud practitioner examination. Yeah, let me share my screen again. Give me just one moment.
Yeah, hi Prasad. This side is Govind here.
Yes, Govind.
Yeah, hi Prasad.
Yeah, Govind, please tell me.
Yeah, Prasad. I have done with my PTI account. Can I share my screen with you?
Sure. Just give me one moment. Are you guys seeing the right screen? Yes. Yeah. So while creating the free tier account, those who are not following right now and would like to do it later, there will be multiple, support plans that you would like to take. So go for the basic one, the free one. The business, developer, and the enterprise one are there would be some charges to it, and we will talk about that in more detail, because this is differentiation would be needed in your examination. You need to understand what stands for what. In this particular link, you will be able to find those differences in a very clear fashion. Govind, yeah, please go ahead. Are you sharing the screen? I believe there is a lot of lag. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the free tier is created. I just want to show the steps of creating the free tier for the people who might get stuck. But yeah, if you've already created the free tier, then great. Is there anyone who is stuck, or should we proceed in further? Because there are a few things that I would like to show here in the AWS Management Console. So, okay. So, Govind, are you at the root user level? No, you're already signed. No, right? Yeah, if someone is at the root user.
Do you want?
Yes.
I'm at confirming my identity.
Great, good enough. Yeah, then share it once you confirm the identity, and then we'll start from the root level.
should I hide my screen?
You can stop sharing, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I see a message from Ravi also. Okay, good. I'm good. Good that few people have created the account.
are you able to see my screen?
No, not yet. It should be on the top, in the middle top.
Yeah, I did. I am doing the entire screen, or maybe I'll do the Chrome tab. Okay, it says error starting screen share. Please try again. Why is it so?
If not, Ravi, would you like to try it once? Because I see Ravi also sent a message that he's also at the root user level.
Okay, maybe somehow for some reason I'm unable to share.
No problem. Ravi, please go ahead and share.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll share my screen.
Yeah. Actually, in my root account, I have set everything that I want you guys to set. So I want to show it step by step how you want to, how you should be doing it.
Yeah, let me know once you guys see my screen.
Yeah, Ravi, it is visible.
Okay, I am here at this level.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag, but yeah, it's coming up. So yeah, log in with your root username, password.
Okay.
Good enough. So once you have logged in, yeah, if you can make it full screen, and we'll start. So click on the services. On the left top, you'll see services.
All services,
Yeah,
right?
or even here, or even in the left top. If you even go more to the tab, where yes,
Okay,
exactly,
okay.
click there. You'll be able to see all the services. So if you see here, the first section is compute. There are multiple services in the compute. Then below that we have storage. Below that we have database. On the right side of it we have management and governance. If you can scroll down a bit, Ravi.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so at that towards the bottom, you'll be able to see left bottom network and content delivery. There's a lot of networking tools. So you see there are a lot of services that we have, and in the middle of the screen you'll be able to see security, identity, and compliance. So there are a lot of services that we have, and it's almost impossible to understand each and every service. But we look into the core services, which will be very much important for your cloud practitioner and your AWS Solution Architect Associate. And when we talk about core, it is compute, it is database, it is security, networking. So these are the kind of the major important one. Okay, so now if you on the right side of your where the services is there on the left top, on the right where you have the name Ravi Gundu, right? So if you can expand that, just click on that.
Just click on my name, or
your name. Yeah, so there's an account ID, there's an organization. So there are a lot of things here, and you'll be able to sign out from here. Okay, we'll look into these in detail later on. But just besides that, we have which is written Ohio. Just click on that. This is where you'll be able to see all the regions that we have. Okay, right now, so every resource that you provision is in a specific region. So depending upon in which region you would like to operate, start with that region and continue using that region. So a lot of time what happens is that we created a specific EC2 instance, but I'm not able to see it. Why? Because the reason the instance was provisioned in some other region, and we are looking into some other region. So always ensure that you map the region in which you want.
Okay.
Okay. Then
And
sorry.
And Prasad, I see that there are 4 regions in the US,
Yes.
right? So can I just pick any of these regions, or should I be worrying about configuring a particular region?
It totally depends upon where your end users are. You would always want to be closer to your end users, right? So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that there is a list. We can see that in the Google, if we go and type what services are present in which region. In US, mostly all the services are present, but when we release the new services, we roll it out. The intent is that all services are present across all the regions, but when we release them, we do them in few regions first, and then eventually roll it out to other regions based on the demand. So you might want to also look into whether your particular service that you're intending to use is available in that region or not.
Yeah, Prasad, I would like to say something that if any services of Amazon Web Services are launched in the newly service which is launched, I think it is launched in the oldest region, that is Ohio, I think. And most of the regions does not have that kind of services which is the Ohio has, I think.
It's either US East 1 or US East 2. And then generally it is also launched in Ireland region, in EMEA. But yes, it depends upon service to service, and it also depends upon the demand from the customers. So Amazon has a policy of working backwards from customers. We innovate on the behalf of customers, but we also take a lot of feedback from customers. Okay, so when we are launching a new service in a specific region, we try and understand the demand of that service in that specific region. So if there are a lot of customers who will be using that in that particular region, it will be released first.
Okay.
Okay, so to start with, to protect our a service, so we have created an AWS account. The first step for us, and guys, we'll be probably overshooting today, probably 15-20 minutes or even more than that. So in case if you are late, I'll be providing the recording for later on. But yeah, I think we'll continue for some more time, because this is where the hands-on, the exciting part starts, I would say. Now you have logged into your AWS account. It's all about protecting your account to start with. So for that, let's go to your billing preferences. So if you click on the just type service in the services, just type billing. That's a better way to go. Yeah. So you got the billing. You click on that. So you're now into your billing dashboard. You'll be able to reach here, by other ways also, but here you are on your billing dashboard. Okay, and it shows what's the budget, what's the cost explorer. There are multiple tabs, and we'll look into these in the week 3 when we'll be looking into billing and pricing in more detail. But to start with, let's go to in the left hand side. If you see the billing preferences, which is 4th from the bottom up, yeah, click on that. Okay.
Yep.
So here to start with, so you ensure that you are using only the free tier resources. You'll have to check box 2 of them. The first is the cost management preferences. If you just click on the cost management preferences, receive free tier usage alerts. Just check it out and provide your email address so that you get all the, in case you keep receiving emails that whether your free tier is or not. And Ravi, in this recording, your email ID is being displayed. I hope it is fine with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
I don't have a problem.
Thank you. Or otherwise, I can do the hard work of blurring it and stuff. So yeah, let me.
No worries. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Then click on the receive billing alerts. So this we'll be setting up an alert right now. So what will happen is that with that alert, in case if you're breaching your alert alarm, you'll be receiving the alert instantly that you're breaching your billing alarms. Save the preferences. So this will ensure that you are at least covered, that you're knowing instantly that what is happening with your account. Now there is a link in the receive billing alerts, which is manage billing alerts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you, yeah, exactly. So there are two ways. The widgets is a new feature, but we'll first do the traditional way, which is manage your billing alerts. So click on the manage billing alerts. It will take us to a service called CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is a service which does a lot of things. And we'll look into it in more greater detail. But one of the things is that you can set a lot of alarms here. Okay, so if you see on the left-hand side in the CloudWatch, there's a dashboard, there's alarms, and there is billing in the alarm. So click on the billing within the alarms. Yep. So this is where we'll create our alarm. That will help us that as soon as we will be creating a threshold. Let's say that we do not want our bill to be greater than $10, or for that matter $1, so that we always ensure that we are using the free tier accounts. So we can create these alarms, and as soon as there is your any usage happens which sets this alarm, you're going to get a notification. So click on create alarm. And here, as you see, we have the billing alarm for based on the metric name estimated charges, which is great. Currency USD. In case if you want to change your currency, you can change it. We leave the statistics and period as same. Scroll down. So it is static. We also have like a condition of anomaly detection that your billing. Let's say there's a spike in your billing, then you can get an alarm. But right now, let's keep it as static, and we'll keep it as greater threshold. And yeah, just type 1 USD or 0.01 USD, which what the lowest that you want. That your billing will not be ever exceeding above. If it exceeds above that, you will get a notification. Yeah, and you can click on next. So, and then when the alarm will get triggered, whether it is an alarm, which is that's what we want it, whether it is okay or insufficient data. We do not want alarm to be triggering when everything is good, or you do not have enough data to understand whether what your billing is. So in alarm is fine. Then comes that what is your SNS topic. So SNS is a simple notification service which allows you to notify to multiple resources. More of a pub sub model you can talk about. So we can create a new topic. So there are 3 options. Use existing SNS topics. It's a fresh account. There will be no SNS topic. So we'll create a new topic here. So create a new topic. Click on the second radio button. Yeah, and this new topic, it will automatically create a CloudWatch alarm, which is great. So email endpoint that will receive the notification. So this is what one of your subscriber would be. So there will be a notification, and when you enter your email address, this will be one of your subscriber where the email would be coming to. So you can enter your email address.
Yeah, I'll just put mine. Anyways, it's there.
Yeah, it's at the same email address. So on this email address, you will be receiving your billing alert. And create topic. You can create the topic. So the topic got created. Just scroll down.
Don't we have add notification is to create another
yes
one?
Yeah, you can have multiple notifications if you want multiple email IDs, or you want there are multiple ways to do that. In case if you have some other dashboard listening, or you want a SMS or something like that, or everything is possible. Auto scaling action. So this is more like in an alarm. What happens that this alarm can be set up for multiple things. Let's say this alarm is being set for a CPU threshold of 90%. Then you can set a auto scaling action that as soon as my particular server CPU is above 90%, add another server. That's auto scaling action. Or if my CPU is below 30%, remove another server, something like that. So that is not required in billing. We'll leave it as it is. EC2 action is not required. We'll click on next.
Yeah.
You can put any alarm name, like billing alert or something like that. You can just give your name. Description is optional. You can click on next. So your alarm got created. So it says that your red line that you see, as soon as that breaches, you will get an alarm. And this, there can be a lot of things that we can do here. So if right now we are just receiving an alarm, but in case if you want to even deprovision a EC2 resource, then you can do it. But this ensures that at least in case if you're using any service which is going to cost you, you'll instantly get an email and you will be able to take corrective actions. So that's one on the cost, so that everyone who is using the free tier account is safeguarded against spending their own money. The second is securing this account in terms of IAM. I said that we have a tool, identity and access management, to secure your account from unauthorized accesses. So we're going to do that. Okay, click on services and just type IAM. And there's a bit of a lag, so I might be speaking a bit slowly, then the screen is getting refreshed. So here, if you see, right now we do not have any users, any groups. We do have two roles, which is by default provided. And this is the sign-in URL for your application. So right now we have accessed our AWS account through the root account, which is not the right thing to do. This is not the right best practice. So once you have created the root account, we need to lock this account, and we have a very select individuals who should be having access to this. And then we should be creating users for accessing this AWS account, and those users should be able to access based on the permissions that they have. So think about an organization. Then organization there will be very few administrators. So you'll create a role administrator and you'll be assigning users with that role administrator, or you'll create a group and assign users to the group, and you'll give a role to that group, a policy to that group. Then there will be developer group, then there will be operational group, so on and so forth. Few will be having only read-only access, few will be having access only to the storage services, few will be having accesses to, let's say, advanced services like AIML, few will be having only for provisioning EC2 instance, few will not be having access to delete anything, few will be having access to almost everything. So we'll have to think about what your organization request is and accordingly configure accesses here. But before that, the first thing that we need to do, ensure that we are actually locking our access. So if you go down, scroll down. So there's a best practice. Yeah, so these are the, if you see the best practices here, there should be a place where you will be able to see what exactly we need to do right now. So if you, we have clicked on the dashboard only, right now?
Yeah, the dashboard is highlighted. You can see that in orange, right?
Just give me 1 second, yeah. I just want to see from where exactly I'll be able to access one specific thing. Oh yeah, the UI got changed a bit. So yeah, AWS keeps on updating the UI. So if you scroll up, so there is a small security alerts where there is a warning sign. Right?
Yep, the root user
exactly. So
does not have.
So we need to enable the multi-factor authentication for the root account. So let's do that. That's one of the best practice that needs to be followed. So to create, activate the MFA. And I'm not sure if you have used a MFA device before. Do you have a MFA device? Like on your machine, on your mobile, do you have an app or something?
No, I did not use.
Okay, so there is a app, authenticator app that comes, which a lot of organizations use as a virtual, like a MFA device. So cancel this. We are not doing it right now, but I'll post a link to the video where we can, we'll show how we can activate a MFA. So what happens is that whenever you are trying to log in through your root account, so your MFA once activated on your root account, it is going to send you another code along with the password that you need to enter. It's more like a OTP that you get, right? So that OTP, one-time password, needs to be entered. So it is to ensure that your root account is logged and totally safe. So that's one of the best practice. The second best practice is, if you see the first tab, which is password, if you open that password, so your password login is secure. change password. So okay, this is secured, which is good. Then there is something called password rotation policy, but we'll come to that later. Yeah, let's go back to the dashboard. Click on the dashboard.
Yeah, I did.
But why? Okay, sorry. The refresh. There's a lag, so there's a refresh. Okay, give me just one more second. Yeah. So now let's create a group. So the best practice says that we should be creating the groups, and then we should be assigning users to the group and assigning the policies to that particular group. So let's create a group. Click on the group. Create new group. Give a group name, let's say admin, because you'll be first user that will be creating. So create a group name admin. Next. Here, this is where we need to attach a policy. So this particular, there are a lot of inbuilt policies that come that you can see right now. They are listed here, but you can create your own policy, and then that will be also listed here, and you will be able to attach that. So for this particular, we will be attaching the administrator access. So if you see the first one, yes, administrator access. Then there will be another policy for a billing. If you click on, just search for billing in the search box. So AWS, yeah, billing. Give the billing or the read on. No, just give the billing one. Yeah, we will be needing, because administrator will be at least needing. So we can always have, because cost is a separate matter altogether. There will be a separate group who will be managing the billing. But for the simplicity, we are going to keep it here like this. Click on next step.
Yeah, Prasad, I think I just asked for check out the billing section.
Sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, Prasad, I think I have to. You have asked to check that particular billing tab over there.
Not that tab.
Okay, the checkbox.
The checkbox.
Sorry,
yes.
The checkbox. Okay.
Ravi, your screen is got unshared. Yeah, we are back now. So now you can create the group. So this particular group, so any user who has this group, who is using the group, will be able to have the full administrator access as well as the billing. So yeah, click on the create group, and there is a lag. So yeah, I might be in time. So now let's go to user. On the left hand side, you will be able to see the users, and we'll create the first user. Add user, yeah. Give a username. Good enough. Access type. This is important to understand. So there are two kinds of access types. One is programmatic and one is AWS Management Console. So in case if you want this user is to be accessing via AWS API or CLI SDK, any development tools, if this user is a more of a development specific user, like we used to have service roles, right? Then we have to use programmatic access, or we have to use console access, or we can use both. So for this purpose, we can keep it simple, have just console access. Click on console access. You can use auto-generated password, or you can use a custom password. It's up to you. Yeah, you can keep auto-generated password. If you tweak up auto-generated password, I think it will ask you to change the password again. So which you can do later on, which is fine. Yeah, click on next. Then you'll have to add this. So there are three options that you do. So this particular user is being created, but this user needs to have permissions. So either you can add this user to a specific group, which we will do, like admin. Just click on the checkbox admin. So this user is part of the admin group now. Or if you see the tabs there are two other tabs. Copy permissions from existing user. If there is an existing user who has specific permission, you want this user to have the same permission, you can get that. Or the third thing that you see is attach existing policies directly. You can attach policies to the user directly. Not a very best practice, because it's generally always best to have via groups so that you understand which user has what, and in case if you want to later on have another user having the same practice, you will remove that user from this group and attach another user to the group. It's easier to manage it via group and the best practice to do it. Click on the next. And this is where you can give the tags. Tags are mainly a way to manage the resources, which is mainly a key value pair later on to identify the resources. They are completely optional, so we can skip it for now. Click on next. And then create user. So the user got created. Okay, this is where you need to be a bit careful. The password is shown only once. You can download the CSV. Just click on the download CSV so that you have it in your local. Once you move away from this tab, you will not be able to see the password again. Then you'll have to reset it or send email. Okay. So do not show the password, otherwise everyone in the screen will be seeing the password. So don't do that. Or you can take it to another screen so that you can see the password and copy it. Or you open your Excel on other screen and copy the password. And then if you see in the message box.
For the moment, I would leave it like this so I can see it later, right?
Yes, you can leave it like this. But once you have downloaded the CSV, right? In that CSV, you will be having the password. So just ensure that in the CSV, you will be having the password. Okay. And then you can log in. So if you see there's a link in the success notification bar, right? If you click on that link, HTTP, yes, exactly. So now this is your link through which you'll be able to log in through your IAM username and password. So you have the 12-digit account ID and your username and password. Okay, so no need to do it now, but yes, that's what I wanted to show you guys, that once that is done. So I'll leave it this, because you logged into other one, so it'll say that you signed out this account. So this is how you will be able to lock your root account and do all your actions from your user account, and that's the best practice to do it. So this helped you in doing multiple things, right? So one was create an account and set a billing alert, and you are able to do that setting billing alert from your root account. A challenge that I will give you guys is to set the billing alert from your user account. There will be few things that you will be learning how to do. Google it. If you are stuck somewhere, let me know. I'll provide you the right links. But try and set a billing alert from your user account, not the root account. Okay. And then one last thing. Okay. Probably you can stop your screen sharing and I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so let me get the right screen up and then I'll share my screen. I'll be sharing a lot of links with you guys. See how much time you'll be able to spend to go through them. I'll be sharing security reinvent videos for IAM roles and policies. But yeah, you'll have to find time for those. So one concept that we have not seen till now is about the IAM roles. Are you guys seeing IAM roles as a screen? I hope so. Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Yes, Prasad.
So if you see here in the identity sections, we have three things. One is users, which we have looked into. One is groups, which we have looked into. Other is roles. So roles is an IAM identity that you can create in your account that has specific permissions. Again, as we attached a policy to a group, similarly, we can do it to the user or even to a role. It's also identity. So there are three identities: user, group, and roles. IAM role is similar to IAM user. That is IAM AWS identity and with permissions policies that determine the identity, what it can do and what it cannot do, like what resources it will be able to access and what resources it will not be able to access. Okay, so why a role is required apart from a user and a group is because mainly our AWS services, we attach roles to AWS services or the AWS resources, so that uh, let's say if there is an application that is running on a EC2 instance, and if that particular application, so if we assign a specific role to that application, that this particular application will be having access to uh, S3 bucket, then only that application will be able to access the S3 bucket. Otherwise, by default, by the least privileged access, the application will not be having any access unless you give it some access. And that access can be either a read-only access or a write access. And it goes very granularly to a very specific type of the resource. And that's where our policies comes into picture. And that's where I'll share you a link for, how you can be able to access the policies, or how you will be able to define the policies. So we have seen a lot of policies that were there already defined, but you will be able to create your own custom policies either through a JSON document or through from the graphical user interface GUI, right? And defining those policies will be important, especially when you will look for your associate. It will not be required much for cloud practitioner, but it will be required for your associate exams or for your professional exams, specifically if you're looking into like a sysops associate or a solution architect associate. And if you are like going for a security, a specialty exam, I would say around 20-30% of your exam would be around those IAM principles. That's pretty much that I had to share for today. Let's go back to our cloud practitioner certification. So yeah, so for the week one, as I said, I'll be sharing a lot of resources with you guys. If you want to see those resources, you'll be able to even see them now. Let me yeah, so this is the session that it's already there. People who are on the Telegram channel would be knowing that I have this YouTube channel, Prasad, with the name of Prasad Rao, in which I do upload all the sessions that are there. So in the video section, I did create some playlists also to help you to navigate easily. But if you see here, AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification Week 1, Session 1. Thanks a lot, everyone. So in this session, you'll be able to find, I'll also upload the recording for the session that we had, but it will be very similar. I think I went into more detail in the previous one, or on this one. It depends upon what topics we're talking about. Few topics I went more detail into this one, and few topics here. But these are all the resources that I'll be even uploading, through which you will be able to dive deep more. So if you see, this is the reinvent video of becoming an IAM policy master. So anyone who is trying to become a security, this is a video is must, or even the security best practices that we have. But I'll be sharing these. I'll be uploading this session very soon. I'll try and find some time today or tomorrow, and I'll do that, and I'll send the link to you guys. Thank you. So before we close out our today's session, any questions?
Yeah, hi,
Okay.
Prasad.
There's a lot of background noise, guys. So if anyone who's not speaking, can please go on mute. Okay, so my YouTube.
Hey Prasad, this is Naresh. I joined a bit late to the meeting, so I would like to know, did you discuss anything about further meetings?
Yes.
In the initial part of this.
So the further meetings would be every Saturday. So this is guys, every Saturday from the same time. Instead of Sunday, we'll be having Saturday. But if there is any other time that suits everyone more, let me know. I put this time because there are folks from US and there are folks from India. I know for US West Coast folks, this would be really early morning. East Coast folks, it is still okay. I think around 8 a.m. For India, I know it is getting late right now, and when the time zone will change with daylight saving, then it will be even even later. But I hope this time suits everyone a bit. No, not obviously it cannot be best for everyone, but it's okayish for maximum people.
Yeah, Prasad, Sunday morning should also be fine India time. I think that would be evening time, yeah, for you, right?
No, Sunday morning will not work. So I am in UK. Folks here are from all over the world, US, India, and even like Middle East. Any other questions? So whoever this time doesn't suit, I know there are few people who for which it will not suit, or you'll not be able to make every session. So that's why we have these recordings, and I'll be posting those recordings. And as always, feel free to ask questions on the WhatsApp channel group. If you think that particular question that you're asking is beneficial to a wider group, feel free to post it on the Telegram group. If not, even the WhatsApp group will work. I'll try and answer as much as possible.
Prasad, this meeting link will work for the next session as well?
Yes, this meeting link will work for the next session as well. And there was a suggestion of I should be sending a meeting invite to everyone. I'll try and do that this week. I'll find some time to send a recurring meeting invite to everyone in this group so that you have that in your calendars with the meeting link.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Prasad?
Yeah.
Is it okay to ask the question like post the session? I don't want to take everyone else's time. I mean, my question is more on service to service authentication, like the role authentication rather than using user ID and typically in organizations. So I have few questions on that. Like, you want me to ask now?
Sure. Let's wait for other people to hear, if they have more generic questions. And for specific questions also, I would recommend, if you can, just type it on the WhatsApp group. I'll get back to you with the answers, when I'm able to. But yeah, we have some time now, so we will wait for another 3 minutes to see if anyone else has any other questions. If not, we will take up the question.
Sure.
Anyone else have any other question? If not, thank you everyone for joining today's session. Hope this was useful. As I said, it's just to get you guys started. It is nowhere comprehensive. I know that, but yeah, all the hard work needs to be done by you guys. I'll be really happy if you, most of the people in this group are able to achieve cloud certification in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks time from now. But this is just the starting. And hope you have created your free tier account, and you will be doing, like the cloud you'll be doing the hands-on that will be helpful in your examination. So with that, I'll close the session. I'll be stopping the recording, but I'll be still on, and we'll be taking the questions. But let me stop the recording now.